All right. Ready to go?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Frank Stand. My name's Luigi Peretta Linguini. This is Charlie, the Cichlids chaplain over here. There you go. Charlie, before we get started, I want to ask you, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Are you a breakfast guy?
Yeah, I went to Einstein. I had everything bagel with bacon, egg, and cheese.
Nice. That's a cornerstone of every great American breakfast.
Every now and then. Usually it's oatmeal and protein bar.
Yeah. So I'm looking around here. We have a bunch of cichlids around us present. It looks like they come in a Roy G. bin full of colors. So there's a spectrum of colors. Are there a preferred 3 colors of cichlids you've always been drawn to? Or do you just like them all in different shades?
I've always been a fan of the blues. But I've learned that, you know, I have to kind of adapt to more than just what I like because I have a customer base, right? And the customer base is it changes, you know, every 9 months plus,
right,
based on what's around, what's coming in. You know, so for the past bit, it's been like red. Like people love red, and they love yellow beans. And red is a very difficult color for me to get out of the fish. You know, yellow bees I can work around it. You know, you do like a Benga, sunshine, females, or maybe an OG, Benga. So you can kind of mix it up, and I can show you this one that I have here. I don't have the light on here, but yeah, he's got a little bit of blue in the face, and he's got yellow in his body. So I just started focusing on him, right, and trying to get more yellow in my lines.
Okay.
So I basically have 3 different OB lines, and you know, I also, like I said, they love the colors and variations. So I've mixed all 3 lines to kind of strengthen the product, right, and also get diversity in the color base. So,
hey man, that diversity really stands out. And speaking of cichlids, looks like they got some cichlids. They got some cool like forehead colors and some top like coloration. What drew you to cichlids amongst other fish in the sea?
So, I mean, I'm basically 57, and like I said before, I've had fish since I was 8 years old. I started with community fish, 10-gallon tank. Back then, there was no information online. There was no internet, right?
Zero.
You just had books like Axelrod and whatever, so you just learn that way.
Yeah.
And gradually, you kind of move on to more bigger fish, bigger tanks. And then over the past 15 years, I have focused specifically on African cichlids, mainly Malawi. I mean, the variety, there's hundreds of different species. You know, I like to hybridize a little bit, but also I like to know what the roots are, if that makes any sense. So sometimes I'll hybridize for OBs, but everything else, like you see I have baby boxes everywhere. You know, I label the species and when they were born. So I have to like make sure, because I have clients that want certain things.
Yeah.
Like females, for example. There are a lot of females that are seeing color, and so I try to separate the environments, or I put fish in that I know will not crossbreed.
Right, they won't.
It's a very, very, very slim chance. Wow. So I'm able to kind of do that with German sulfurhead, for example. You know, I use that and the albino white neck fryer. Right? So those are two staples, and then I'm able to kind of bounce some other things in with them and throw them out. You know?
You're like a Charlie Chaplin of cichlids over here. You got a whole performance, a whole barn stadium of cichlids.
Yeah. Well, I've been up and running for probably about 6 years. I started right around COVID. I had a 2-car garage, and I had all this space. And I moved down here 7 years ago from New York. So I was breeding yellow labs. You know, just whatever. I had been doing that prior to actually the business. And I had, you know, a little bit over here, and then I said, oh, I have all this like room. So let me go over here, and let me try this. And let me then try this. And now all of a sudden, like, I gradually expanded through the garage. And I said for years I would never put any electrical on the side of the wall.
Never any electrical.
This is all I can handle.
This is what we got.
Well, last year I had my electrician buddy, TNS Electric, come in and basically put claws in the wall, you know, the way it should be done. Right. And now I have the tubs and but there's no room left in the garage. So
whoa, I know, man. You made use of every single point of space in here.
I could have went higher up, but you know, and I tried different things. I never planned to kind of be where I am. I just kind of was just going to like just do this. So my setup kind of just, you know, if I could change it up, I would, but at this point it works, and water off. I can handle the electric bill, I can handle the water bill, so just leave it as it is.
Speaking of things that you can handle, if you could go back in time as a cichlid or a fish of your choosing and swim in any other fish of a time period, which time period do you think would be the coolest to be a fish?
Not prehistoric.
Yeah, you'll be much stuff.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, it would be something in the African cichlid world, maybe at a point where they weren't well known. You know, so it's kind of just like under the radar.
Right, they're underrated.
Yeah, exactly. You know, now, it's prevalent most stores you go to. There's a lot of breeders down here. There's a lot of really good large scale operations throughout the U.S. and Germany, for example. So, I'd probably be like some sort of fryer eye.
Some sort of fryer. All right, I like it.
They're like sleek and.
All right. Well, I hear from SeaWorld.org. I don't know how good they are with information, but according to them, cichlids are phylum of chordata, which is phylum is like the meaning of the level of classification, and that they're osteichites. Osteichites is like kind of weird. They're also called bony fish. Are there any fun facts people wouldn't really know about cichlids that you feel like the public should know?
Well, I would say the beauty of these, aside from just the color, is the personalities. They're very aggressive, right? And as they get older, they're also getting more temperamental, just like we do. Right? And grouchy, whatever. So what might get along now, in a couple of years, may not kind of be cohesive. So it's always important to kind of like mix things up, and also you got to look at the environment. And you see a fish kind of up in the corner or hiding, it's because there's a reason for it. Like someone's picking on them and just not happy. So you have to address that, because over time it could be. I'm not sure if I even answered the question.
No, that's good, man. It makes sense. Like they're
drawn to these fish because of their personalities.
To the personality
and the color variance, and some get larger than others, and some get more color as they kind of evolve. Versus if you go with like a gold lab, the gold lab at this size, or you can even see it, right? The color is yellow is the yellow, right? The most dominant is going to have the most yellow gold, but
the most yellow gold.
Versus a lot of like the peacocks, for example, they don't get color until they hit maybe about 2.5 inches.
Dang. All right. And how do you think you were able to turn your passion into a well-endowed hobby? Like, what was the genesis step that got you into this world?
So I've always had sort of a business sense. Like, I love the hobby, but I also like to be successful, right? So I'm always looking at different projects and just doing a cost benefit, but then there's sometimes as an aquarium addict, right? You'll go to an auction and you'll be like, all right, I have to have one.
I gotta have
I've never seen it before. I have to have it. I'll throw it in the show tank, whatever. But it's really thinking about it from a practical perspective. You want to take it as a serious business, like running an operation, right? In this thing, as the garage environment, you make a little bit of money. But more, it's a passion for the hobby. It's a passion for developing a network. Like I mentioned before, I'm part of the Gold Coast Aquarium Society in South Florida, in Davie, Florida.
Yeah, man.
So
the crowd.
so it's a group of us, about 110 people. We get about half that or so that meet on a monthly basis. It's $20 a year. It's non-profit. We fly speakers in. We do auctions. We also organize a thing called the Opera Expo, which we get thousands of people in on the weekend up in Coral Springs. Again, it's I'm on the board, and I like the creativity and work. It's a great bunch of guys that I work with, and so it's really kind of just a whole aquatic-based environment that I really have a passion for.
And when you're on your way home from a long day of work or spending time with your cichlids, what kind of tunes do you like to play on the radio with your mind?
So I'm from New York, so I was never really into like country. So I listened to rock and a little bit of new wave. And then all of a sudden I'm hooked on this like country station. I listen to like Morgan Wall and all of a sudden these country-based performers. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I don't like to kind of scan. And otherwise I'll Pandora. I have a couple different music genres.
Nice, all right. And back in 2025, you were part of the Aquapalooza, which is a place where your hobby was granted more awareness to grow and to be shared with other kindred spirits like yourself. What about community events like the Aquapalooza are positive things you like that other folks don't know?
So the Palooza was organized by the Gold Coast Aquarium Society, right? So we do Aqua Expo, which Palooza was our first kind of morph of, okay, let's bring some, speakers in and talk about different topics. It's a smaller scale expo. The Aqua Expo is really our event we're really proud of. We do it at least on an annual basis.
Right.
We bring in vendors, we bring in all kinds of people. It could be guys like myself, but for me it's also educating and giving awareness to like the youth. Right? So we have a bunch of kids in our club and we try to get them involved.
Right, bring the youth up.
Yeah, because they're the future. They're the future of our club. Right?
Who's gonna take over all the tanks?
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Or someone at least has to come and break it down and take it away when I get too old, right?
There you go.
But, it's really kind of being involved in Gold Coast Aquarium Society. We just actually did a field trip this past weekend.
You did?
We went to Imperial Tropicals.
Okay.
We went to a manatee station over towards Bradenton.
Right.
And the towers were amazing. And then we get a handful of stores on the way down to the Fort Myers Aquarium Society Saturday night. So we do fun stuff like that. Just kind of bonding with fish nerds and just sharing a lot of common passion for the hobby.
It's that niche community. It's like it makes you like the Heisenberg of cichlids. If you watch Breaking Bad,
yeah, of course.
It's like this is your field, man. You got a whole lot of experience in it.
Yeah.
And people commend you on your section to reach out. I see on your comment section on your Instagram, people like to reach out asking about star sapphires or feeding for them. And from where you started to where you're going now, how was your intro into the game of marketing and sharing your passion to the world on Instagram?
So my biggest weakness.
All right. All right. 1 second. All right. Carry on. So your digital. How did you
Yes.
categorize it?
So it's my digital footprint is something that I've been lacking. Like you can have all the know-how and all the expertise with maintaining the aquariums and the operational side of the business, but if you can't get your name out there, you're not going to be as successful as you could. So digital marketing is something that I am not very good at. So I started with Facebook, just posting videos on Facebook and getting followers. I have maybe about 700 followers in the group, and then linking it to Instagram. So, it's a digital marketing. Every now and then I'm posting. I could be doing a better job, like at least on a weekly basis. Putting something out there, but it's also finding the time.
That's awesome, man. Like, speaking of finding the time, that's clearly what you've done is like, and ladies and gentlemen watching, this guy, he posts so much on his Instagram, so if you're in the look for star sapphires and other fish, you've got them. But back to what I was saying, if you've been on Instagram sharing your love of cichlids since 2020, August 6th, what would you say has kept you consistent for your driving ambitions?
So it's really getting to know your customers. Like I have a bunch of customers that are friends as well, but it's understanding kind of what their needs are and then trying to meet those needs. So, just to put it into perspective, so something like this, it could take a year for it to get to a size and color that maybe you would want to buy it, right? And there's a limited supply versus the demand.
Right.
So in some instances, I have partnered up with a well-known farm down in Homestead. So I'm able to wholesale with him. So he gives me species that I'm not breeding, but it gives me variety as my stuff grows out. So he's a great guy. He's had the farm since 1970, I think. He's on YouTube.
A long time.
Yeah, Florida Exotic Fish Sales. Great guy, Rick Biro and Tamala and Glenn. So this is a recent thing that I've been doing with them. And I make a little bit of money on those fish, but for me it's more of the variety that my customers have. And they can get these fish for a lot less and other sources.
Right, man.
You
It's
know,
like,
so you have to kind of adapt to what's going on in the environment, and improvise, adapt, and overcome, as Clint Eastwood said.
hey, Clint Eastwood, all right. Are you a Clint Eastwood guy?
Yeah, growing up I was, but you know, I'm dating myself now.
There you go, man. The good, bad, the ugly. It's one of the best
Yeah,
movies
there
ever,
you go.
man.
That's right.
And yeah, I hear cichlids can live up to 10 to 15 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Malawi's basically anywhere from, I believe, 3 to 8.
Whoa.
You know, the African side. The South American Central can live a little bit longer.
Right.
And I think the reasoning is, you know, it's just their temperament, it's their territorial nature, especially in a contained environment, right?
Right.
So that's, but generally 3 to 8 years. If you can get 5+ years out of a peacock or around there, I think you're doing well.
Yeah, that's a lucky bet right there. And who would you say are your Breakfast Club group of cichlids you've had for a while? Like, do you stay attached to, let's say, a specific cichlid or two? Like, do you remember, is there a family of cichlid members that you're stuck to, or you know the names? Is anyone?
So I don't name the fish, but I would say, like, I've been known for my OBs.
Yeah.
Like the blueberry OB prior eye and the OB peacocks.
Okay.
So like I said, I have a couple of lines that I've lost some of the original breeders because they got overworked, right? And I just figured that out the hard way. You know, they had a great run. They lived about 5 years, 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So now I have to have a process where there's a retirement, and then you bring the next, you know.
The next
Stud
generation.
in, yeah, basically. You know, so that's kind of, but it's really the OBs. Because you know, when I started with the OBs in this area, you really didn't have a lot of OBs. Maybe OB Lagunas, but you know, peacocks and the prior eye, you really didn't see them in the stores or anything. So I kind of wanted to tap into that.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And are cichlids known for being close to their kids compared to other fish, or are they totally different relationships?
Certain African cichlids are more nurturing than others.
Right.
You know, more on the Tanganyikan side. You know, here's an example. So like the deep water hat. You know, they can be a little jitterish. And if the female's holding, you know, when they see a net coming, it's more survival of fish. They're going to spit out whatever's in their mouth, and
right.
they're just going to run away and try to hide.
Right.
You know, you net them, and all of a sudden they're spitting babies and eggs. So, for the most part, they're not really maternal in nature. But like I said, there's Lake Tanganyika species that are more, you know, kind of found. So.
And we all got our family dynamics, different shades and colors, especially in the animal kingdom, you know?
Yeah.
What can you say? And how would you say you bring your tanks to life? How do you bring your tanks to life, like a P.T. Barnum style, to make them look theatrical and flashy? Like, I've seen your show tanks; they look pizzazzy and gentle at the same time. Are there any tips and tricks folks following your path, making tanks look swag?
Well, so basically, I like to have a clean environment. You know, I use the paint on the back, spray paint.
Right.
It helps the colors pop. So I use the African cichlid substrate to keep the pH high.
Right.
My carrot seed makes great African cichlid substrate.
Wow.
I don't use so much of the shells anymore because these guys like to dig, and it's easier for them to dig like in this sort of substrate. You know, it's a bit lighter. So between the light substrate and the background,
Right.
and when you already have colorful fish, it makes the fish stand out, like this guy right here.
Whoa.
And lighting obviously helps. Like my lighting is okay, it's not fantastic.
Right.
You know, but in terms of the pizzazz, it just putting a bunch of different color varieties, like
Right.
the albino strawberry, right? It's got some orange, it's got some orange.
Look at him, he got some Nemo orange on him.
And then you have the red dragon, which has a different sort of orange, deeper
Oh
orange.
man, take the dragon.
So you have different varieties, and you got the OBs. These guys will have more blue in the face as they get bigger, so they've got color coming on. But as they get bigger, they'll have more color. So it's really kind of to your preference. There's plenty of color varieties with fish that can get together and go on.
A little OBs, a little Odell Beckhams, man. There you go. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to ask, how long does it take for cichlids to reach their prime when it comes to colors, you would say?
So I'm going to say, I mean, I've seen little ones like this more here that start putting some color on. But in general, when they get about this size, the more dominant ones will start having color. You know, so, but as they get bigger, so I'm going to say probably around 3 inches is really where they'll really come into the color. And then as they hit the 4-inch mark, that's really kind of 4.25.
Right.
That's really where the prime. Now that's peacocks and haps, and that's the males.
Right.
The Mabunas, the males and females are the same color. You know, so these guys, they start with light yellow as fry, very, very faint. And then as you get bigger, they grow into more of the yellow. You know, the males and females are that way.
And if you could go back in time before cichlid farming and speak to your younger 24-year-old self for 2 minutes, what do you think you'd let him know?
Well, since I've been doing this for 6 years, I'm going to say getting more involved in the community, the aquarium-based community, and also just leveraging the information that's out there. Because in my 20s, the internet wasn't there.
Right, man.
Early 20s anyway. So knowledge is power, right? And so is the expertise of the people around you. So I would say, working with, partnering up with other people that have similar and like-minded interests in the hobby, because you can learn something from everybody.
Yeah, good, man.
I learn something new every day.
Like osmosis, you just bring it in.
Yeah, it's at your fingertips, so just utilize it.
And what's the ritual for naming a fish for you? Like, when you would own a personal fish, is it immediate or does it take some time to run into cheeky names?
I don't name the fish. The last fish I named was this Cichlids Hut.
Okay.
Right? And this thing, I bought it this size, I put it in with some Central American fish. There wasn't a whole lot of information about this fish at the time.
Okay.
And what was out there was completely opposite of the way this fish acted. So this fish grew to 14 inches and basically killed everybody that was, whoever the tank boss was, would take him out and then take the next one out, the next one out. And after I had that, he lived for 14 years.
Right.
You know, and then I said, all right, let me try having Cichlids now because I had nothing else in this tank and this fish had just died, passed away. Right. So that's when 2010, when I was living in Manhattan, I said, okay, let me get some cichlids from Cichlid Express in Daytona, ship them up, and started with Mabunas.
Right.
Usually that's what people do, they start with Mabunas, but if you don't have the right combination, Mabunas beat the hell out of
They
you.
beat each other? Oh,
Shred
my
each
God.
other and you have nothing left.
It's like the outsiders. It's like the socialers and the greasers.
Yeah, there you go.
They're going at it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And what pop culture or underrated film is your premier marine life movie? Like, are you a Nemo fan? Do you like Blackfish? Is there a movie out there that surrounds water that you love?
There was that movie with Bill Murray, I can't remember the name of it. Life Aquatic?
Life Aquatic? Okay.
Is that it? Yeah, that was an interesting movie.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And how do cichlids not get bored of living in a box? Like, are there any philosophical observations on humanity that humanity can learn from cichlids? Kind of a niche for Marcus Aurelius question.
We all live in a box, right? I mean, I've been in Fort Lauderdale for 7 years, and 7 years ago versus today, it's like living in the 72 ball. It's crowded, it's constant. These guys somehow find a way to figure out their environment, but inherently in their mindset and their roots, they're overloaded, where they are at the mile. So they I guess it's just in their heads that
Right.
it's just the way it is.
Making the most out of what you got.
Right, because if you only had a few in here,
Yeah.
there'd be one that would be in charge, and he would just beat everybody in here.
Oh.
So you have more in here, so it diversifies the aggression. Right? Versus, it's not going to happen in the real world in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
It's not.
It would.
It's not gonna diversify the egret.
Wow, so like having so many together allows them to equally disperse like the control tower. Like they're all kind of, no one's going at each other.
So if there's one in charge, and this is probably the whirly eye back here, and probably that lab is in charge of all the other Laguna. Basically, he's got a variety of ways to kind of get his aggression out. So he's not just going to pick on the same fish, theoretically,
right,
all the time. But if I had 4 fish in here, he would just find one and probably just pick on that one constantly. Yeah, it's the nature.
All right. Well, among your fryer eyes, how do you pronounce it? The fryeries?
I say fire eye. People have different ways of pronouncing the words.
Yeah. Among your fryeries and Eureka Red and OBPs and Deepwater Hats, what fish have you noticed sell like hot pockets?
The OBs.
The OBs, yeah. The OBs, you guys are selling out.
Right here.
There you go. These are the OBs.
Something like this.
Look at these OBs, man. There's talking code for you too.
Wow.
The Arrow Flametail is also another one that's very popular. This one right here.
Ruby. All right, what else we got over here? Yeah. So OBs sell out like hot pockets. They're the fish.
OBs, the Vegas Sunshines, they have yellow and blue face. Albino Taiwan Reef. I can't keep those in here.
Right.
I get those from the farm. Taiwan Reefs as well. There's certain fish because the deals people are getting also, they're only going to be the deals. That's the thing.
Well, Charlie, is there anything you'd like to let the audience know anything big coming up for you that you're working on, any projects or media events or community you'd like to share with the crowd?
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of the albino sunshine, which they have the albino eyes and they have this sunshine.
Yeah.
Show you. So I just got a group of them a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So I'm going to start breeding those. In terms of events, I would say people in the local area are interested in the Gulf Coast Aquarium Society in South Florida. Go on the website. We have monthly meetings. We have speakers we fly in. We had a spring auction in March. We have a swap meet coming up in May. We've got a super auction in August.
Whoa!
So there's a lot of events that we plan, and if people are in the area, we have people from Stewart to come down to these events, down to Davie. So I encourage people to look at the website and check us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep checking out the Cichlid Hut over here. Charlie?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Charlie. It's been a wrapping pleasure.